What's going on, Steelers Nation? This is the Black and Gold Report. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 4 quarterbacks going into Pittsburgh Steelers training camp starting next week in Latrobe. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to hit that like and subscribe button down below, and it will greatly help this channel, and I greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to getting to know you guys as this channel grows and we get into everything Pittsburgh Steelers. There's nothing like Steelers Nation, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. So as we get started, I'm going to go through all 4 quarterbacks. What's their upside? Other than A-Rod, where does the other 4 stand in the pecking order? And what I think the Steelers will end up doing in the end as far as who gets cut and who stays. And who I think, between Will Howard and Drew Aller, who I think is going to be the Steelers' choice based off my opinion. So we're going to start off with A-Rod. He is the starter. This is his last season in the NFL. He has already announced that, as you know. And first off, I just want to thank Aaron for giving us these last 2 years, going into his second year here, but it's going to be his last in the league. I just want to show my appreciation for him, and what he's done for this franchise is, something that I'm thankful for. He rejuvenated it and got us back on the right trajectory after the last few seasons. Now, our last few seasons weren't terrible, but they weren't up to the Steelers standard. And Steelers standard is we're Super Bowl contenders. Like, that's the whole 70s dynasty and up. Us and the Patriots had the most Super Bowls, tied at 6 apiece, and our goal is, and our standard is, to get to 7 and on up from there. And I just appreciate him for getting us back to that in the right direction for that. And as we dive right in, looking at A-Rod's stats, he was 327 of 498 last year for the Steelers with a 65.7% completion percentage. He threw for 3,322 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And he averaged 6.7 yards per attempt. 65, almost 70% completion percentage is pretty stout. I mean, in a first year in a system. Now, this year, the difference is A-Rod's going into a system that he played for years in Green Bay. Him and McCarthy are very close, and I know that he's going to step right in and be very comfortable in this system. I know he said that, it's the same stuff we ran in Green Bay. It's just called something different now. So he should be able to jump right in and be able to, be comfortable and help the other 3 quarterbacks in that room to get up to speed on this system. Now, the Steelers have put a lot around him. I expect him to, be even better than he was last year. I expect the completion percentage to be up to at least 70 this year with how comfortable he is in that system. A system is, it's got to be tuned to the quarterback that you have. And I think seeing his success in Green Bay for all those years under McCarthy was, it's very encouraging to see, what could be. And I think that A-Rod not only helps them, but it helps other positions because he can give them tricks and, little insights into what's worked for him and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like Aaron Rodgers is set up to succeed, and the Steelers may be a sneaky team this year. I don't think you're going to see the same old Steelers from the past 4 or 5 years. Just barely getting into the playoffs, 9 and 8, 10. I mean, I have the Steelers winning 12 to 13 games this year. Just for the simple fact of what we added, especially on offense with the weapons that we have. And I do have a surprise and a hot take for who makes a roster at receiver. and I'll dive into that more on my receiver room preview coming up this week. But I will tell you who it is in this one. But I do have faith in A-Rod, and I think that A-Rod's gonna lead this team in a way that is even better than he did last year. It's so encouraging to see, on a personal note for him, he's rekindled things with his parents and his family, and that's just awesome to see and humbling to see that, family's thicker than blood, thicker than anything. Like, he's been estranged for them for years, but to see him post that, and it makes me feel like he's in the right mindset. And then to see the bonding trip that he went on with the boys, it makes me feel like he is ready to roll when it comes to training camp, and I'm very looking forward to that. Now we're going to move on to, Mason Rudolph. Mason he's been in the league for a while. He's kind of been a career backup, if you're being totally honest, but he's had some, shining moments wherever he's been. But I think that when push comes to shove, like, he is a valuable backup, but he's not the long-term answer after A-Rod this year. I appreciate all he's done for Pittsburgh, but I don't see him as the end-all, be-all for the Steelers at quarterback, and we all know that, but I feel like he was brought in to help, with the younger guys, and I do appreciate him for that. And I do think that, he may be a trade candidate in the end, because I do think that Will Howard or Drew Aller is going to be the backup, and I lean more towards Will Howard just because of his upside and all that. But I have faith in Rudolph as the backup, but I don't think it's going to be him. I don't think the Steelers want it to be him per se. I think they would rather it be one of the younger guys, just to bring them up through that system as as one of their guys that they wanted. Omar, picked him, and he picked Drew, and I think that they wanted to be one of them, and I think that he is more so was brought in to mentor, along with A-Rod, those younger, Will Howard and Drew Aller, in a sense of, two strong mentors that's been in the league forever, and can give them major insights and help with their development. And as we move on to Drew Aller, in his college career, his college stats were he completed 633 passes out of 1,002 for a 63.2% completion percentage, and threw for 7,402 yards, 61 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions, and averaged 7.4 yards per attempt. That's pretty good in college for a college quarterback. He has a big physical physique, can run, can throw. This was his first quarterback that Mike McCarthy picked in Pittsburgh, and I do think he has major upside. I think he's not one-dimensional. He can run and throw, like I said, and I think that's what the Steelers are looking for. I think that, McCarthy's offense has been pass-heavy as of late, which he can throw the ball very exceptionally. I just think, it's going to be a knockdown drag-out from between Will Howard and him. I look forward to seeing that in training camp and the preseason games. And I stole this from All Steelers Talk. Make sure you go watch those guys, subscribe to those guys. They do great at all things that they do, and they put out great content. And All Steelers Nation, I know most of you watch them, but if you haven't, please go check out All Steelers Talk. Subscribe and like their stuff, and you get a lot of insight there too. But I feel like uh, whichever, when they do give them chances in the preseason, which I do expect them to get most of the snaps in preseason, I feel like they need to give each one the ones. And I do feel like, I listened to Big Ben's podcast, and he said that whichever pieces that you give Will, you need to give Drew, and vice versa. As far as don't run Will out there with the ones and give Drew the twos and never switch it. Let them both see what they look like with the ones, or the ones that are going to play on Sundays when they do play, just to see the cohesiveness of the offense, who runs it the best out of the two. That's really going to be the telling sign. Who commands the huddle? Who takes steps to lead this offense in a way that Coach McCarthy wants it run, and run it in a way that is efficient and in a management standpoint, to where you're never worried about their leadership of the offense. I do think preseason games, we're going to tell real quick who has the better handle on it. I do think Will has an upper hand just being in the league another year longer. But, Mike McCarthy picked Drew Aller, so, there's that variable. Mike Tomlin then picked Will, so there's always that dynamic. But I don't think it's going to matter per se, just because we're going to see real quick in training camp and preseason who has a better hand and who's more comfortable. Last but not least, I want to get to Will. Will Howard is my pick to be the Steelers quarterback of the future. I do think his tangibles are that of, and I've heard this before, and I'm not saying that he's exactly like him, but I do think he has some similarities to Josh Allen. He's not 250 pounds like Josh Allen, but he's got the attributes and the awareness and feel of that Josh Allen has, and that's rare to find. I think Will is very, very ultra talented, as is all these guys, but I think he has an it factor that we just haven't seen yet. And I saw it in college, and I know college is different than NFL. I'm not saying that it's the same thing. I'm saying that Will he is a national champion. He's won on the biggest stage in college. He's been around winners at Ohio State. Like, he's been around winning cultures wherever he's been. And that's hard to find. And, that bodes well with leading an offense. Like, he led a team to a national championship. He's bought into the Steeler culture. A-Rod loves him from what I'm hearing. Like, I just feel like he has a lot going for him, and I can't wait to see his progression and development under McCarthy. I think it's going to even reach new heights under him, because McCarthy's elevated quarterback play every single place that he's been. And, with McCarthy being from the Berg, it's an extra level of want to. Not saying that he didn't want to win at all and win a Super Bowl wherever else he's been, Green Bay, which he did, and Dallas, but I think here it's personal to him, and he's going to do everything he can to develop every single person on this team to bring Pittsburgh another Lombardi. And I think that he's going to pour into Will so much and develop him, and along with A-Rod and Mason, giving them insight. Looking at Will's career stats in college, he completed 767 passes out of 1,202 for a 63.8% completion percentage. He threw for 9,796 yards in college between Kansas State and Ohio State. He also averaged 8.1 yards per attempt and threw for 83 touchdowns and 35 interceptions through his college career. these stats right here tell me a major upside. He was also 34-16 as a starter between the two schools. So that right there is, very encouraging looking at it. I feel like he gives us an edge, not only knowing how to win, but being a leader. Just listening to his interviews, and I think the Steelers saw that when they drafted him last year. He genuinely loves being where he's at with the Steelers. Just hearing him talk and express, when he got drafted, being excited about being a Steeler. And a Steeler is, hard-nosed, never get tired of working. I could go on and on, but he embodies that. Like, I see his work ethic on the stuff he posts, like his training videos, all this stuff. He wants it, and that's big time when it comes to a quarterback in the NFL. One of the hardest jobs on earth, literally, because our eyes are on you. You have immense pressure and all that kind of stuff, and I think he embraces that. He wants to be coached. He wants it to be hard so that he can better himself, and that's only going to bode well and translate to the field in a way that I think, in my opinion, is what the Pittsburgh Steelers desperately need. We've been trying to find that franchise guy since Ben retired, and it's so hard. Like All Steelers Talk was saying, it's so hard to find a franchise quarterback in NFL because they are few and far between, and you may think somebody is, and then they turn out not to be. And, the Patriots had Tom Brady forever and then lost him and went straight down, and it took them a couple years, but I think they finally found one in Drake May. But I'm thinking that, Will Howard could have a similar trajectory. I think that the Steelers are set up to be one of those teams that surprises folks in NFL. I don't think a lot of teams are looking at them to be a contender, but I do have them as contenders this year. Just looking at what they did on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Now we do have a lot to improve on. I'm not one of those fans that's everything's sunshine and roses. I think we do have some holes that we need to fill, but we can fill them. I do think there's going to be a surprise candidate make this wide receiver room, and I'll tell you who it is. I think it's Brandon Smith. I think that he is ready for this, and I've seen him in person training this all season, and he looks absolutely insane, and I can't wait for y'all to see him in training camp. And some people may smirk or laugh or whatever, but I've personally seen the man training this all season, and he looks absolutely insane, and I can't wait for y'all to see him. And if he doesn't make it, he'll definitely be on the P squad, but I do see him making this roster because, he can play special teams too. Like, he's very versatile, and I think that he can do more than just play receiver. I think that, the Steelers definitely improve their offense with Rico Dowdle and all of them. And I'll get to all these guys when I do the different position previews, but today's just the quarterback preview. And I just wanted to give you guys that insight and looking at it. And I think Will right now is my choice. Who I think's gonna be the backup to A-Rod this year. Just my opinion. I just see that the direction the Steelers are going to go. I think that they want to develop Drew Aller a little more, but I do think Will is a little bit ahead of Drew right now. Just for a simple fact of he's had another year in the league, and I know he didn't play in the preseason last year, but I do feel like that he's a little bit ahead just for the fact of he's been in the league a little longer. Been in those meetings, been in the off seasons before. And, you know, Drew signed his contract the other day. I'm glad the Steelers got that done finally. I know the dominoes had to fall with Carson Beck and Fernando Mendoza setting the market, you know, but I'm glad the Steelers got that done, and we don't have to linger and hear about that all training camp. And he'll be ready to go in Latrobe next week. But I just wanted to come on here and let you guys hear about that and what I think the quarterback room is looking like. And I'm so looking forward to this A-Rod's last year. And I hope and pray that the Steelers, that A-Rod can go out on top and bring a 7th Lombardi to the Pittsburgh Steelers like we all want. And I just think that we're in for a great year. And my next video will be a wide receiver room preview. That's going to be a big one because I think there's a lot of battles in that group. And I feel like that we can we have a lot of depth there. And I'm anxious to see how many they keep. And but we're going to get into that next video. And again, if you would, leave your comments down below, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Here we go.